Welcome back everyone. Today we are taking a look at a game from the Russian Cup final. It's a knockout tournament where the players will play 2 classical games against each other, followed by 2 rapid games. And if things are still tight, then an Armageddon game will be played to decide matters. In this game, Nikita Afanasiev faces off against Dmitry Jakovenko, who is over 2700 Fide. Nikita is still a Fide master rated at almost 2500, but he is still very young at only 18 years of age. So Jakovenko with the white pieces in this game, Afanasiev with black. Jakovenko opens with e4. d6 from Nikita Afanasiev, so the Perk defense. White plays d4, grabbing more space in the center. Knight to f6, knight c3, and here Nikita plays e5, allowing Jakovenko to take and then trade queens. White would be slightly better in this position, but with the queens off the board, this isn't so dangerous for black. So understandably, after e5, Jakovenko decides not to take. He plays knight to f3. Knight b to d7, we have bishop to c4, developing the bishop to the most aggressive square, where it puts a lot of pressure on f7. Black plays bishop to e7, preparing to castle. Both sides now castle. a4, so giving the bishop a flight square on a2, and we have a5, not allowing white to gain more space on this queen side. Also with a5, black has plans of bringing the knight to c5 in the future, and having the pawn on a5 definitely helps to support it. Queen to e2 play, and we have c6, so black might be intending to break with d5 in the future. Here white goes rook to d1, we have queen to c7, stepping out of this rook's line. And here bishop to a2 played. Seems a bit too casual as there is no immediate threat on the bishop. So e takes d4 was played, knight takes, knight to c5, and here h3, stopping black from having bishop to g4. So here after bishop to e6, black pretty much equalizes with this move. And by trading off one of white's good attacking pieces, he should be doing okay. So now we can see the disadvantage of wasting a tempo with bishop to a2, because the bishop is going to be traded anyway. So black wouldn't mind white taking on e6 even though it gives up the bishop pair, because after the recapture it gives him a very strong center, with possibilities of playing possibly d5 in the future. So after bishop to e6, we have bishop to f4, putting pressure here and developing a piece. So here black takes on a2, and here white actually has a very nice move in knight to f5, but in fact black is still okay after this move. This move wasn't played, but the point is that if the bishop retreats, then you can take on e7, and then take on d6, and then you end up taking the knight, and also now this rook is under attack, so white would be up and exchange. But here after knight to f5, black doesn't have to retreat the bishop. He can play just, instead of bishop to e6, he can play a rook to d8. And here the position after g6, kicking away this annoying knight, and if white takes on e7, queen takes e7, this should be an equal position. So knight to f5 is a very interesting move, but this wasn't played. Instead, after bishop takes a2, we have rook takes a2. So you can see this rook is now very awkwardly placed. Black plays g6, stopping white from going knight to f5. And here Jakovenko plays queen to f3, maybe intending rook to e1 and e5. But this is a bit slow. Instead, e5 is probably better, just eliminating what could potentially be a target for white. So after queen to f3, we have rook after e8 from Afanasiev, a good move. Getting ready to tuck the bishop back, where black will have excellent pressure against the e-pawn. Knight d to e2, and now we can see another problem with the move queen to f3. White cannot play f3 to defend the pawn. So after bishop to f8, we have knight to g3 defending. Black plays rook to e6, preparing to double rooks. Queen to e3, so threatening to take here because the pawn is pinned. So black steps out of the pin. Queen to b6. And we have bishop to g5. So trying to eliminate some pressure off the pawn on e4. Rook a to e8, we have bishop takes, rook takes, and queen to d2, stepping out of the pin because black was also threatening d5. And here Afanasiev plays h5, threatening h4. So rook to e1 to give more defense to the pawn, h4, knight to f1, and rook f back to e6. So white cannot hang on to the pawn for much longer. He cannot play f3 because then black would have some nasty discovered checks with the knight. So here queen f4 played by Jakovenko, defending the pawn and also attacking h4. So in this position, black is already significantly better, not only because of his pressure here, but also because his pieces are much better placed compared to white. White has very awkwardly placed pieces. So here d5 played by Nikita, taking advantage of this pin. And we have knight to d2, defending e4. So if if white decides to get greedy and takes on h4, here black has multiple ways of winning this position, but the simplest is just to take on e4. So if that is taken, then rook takes. This comes with tempo on the queen, and if something like queen to g3, then probably just rook to e2 and bishop c5, putting pressure here, and this should be quite deadly. So after d5, knight to d2 was played, and then we have queen to b4 from Afanasiev, putting more pressure on e4. So here rook to e2. White is so tied down in this position, he can barely move. And now Nikita converts his advantage with d4. This enters into a tactical sequence which works out in black's favor. So after the knight retreats, d3. So c takes d3 is forced, otherwise white simply takes here with a very dangerous passed pawn. Knight takes d3, this comes with an attack on the queen, so queen comes to f3, and here knight c1, and black wins an exchange. Rook a3 played, but after knight takes e2, queen takes b2. In this position, Dmitry Jakovenko resigned the game. So a pretty impressive win from Nikita. In fact, he managed to beat Jakovenko in back-to-back games, which makes this even more impressive. And now he is advancing to the quarterfinals of the Russian Cup final. So as usual, if you enjoyed the game, feel free to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a good day.